Hello and welcome to the latest Hospitality and Events North interview. And we're talking to all sorts of people and companies around the events industry about the current situation and how they're adapting. Today we're talking to Mark Kisby. Mark is the director of AV Department Limited based in Scotland, although as you'll soon see, he doesn't sound too Scottish. Hi, Mark. How are you doing?
Hi, Elliot. How are you?
Sounds like you may be from Cambridge.
Well, thank you. Yes, as previously discussed in pre-interview, I am indeed from Cambridge. That's where I was born. Yeah. So been in Scotland now for 25 years.
Oh, excellent. Okay, well, you've not lost any of that accent. So tell us a little bit about the company and how you've evolved, and obviously a little bit about your background as well.
Okay, well, I've been in the industry for more years than I care to mention now. Over nearly 29 years, nearly 30 years professionally. First started working with Brailler ICS, who many people will know now as BUK Solutions, we came to Edinburgh in '96, and then I started AV department in 2005. So we've been working now as AVD or AV Department Limited for the past, how long is that now? 15 years.
Quite a while.
too many years to count. Too many years to count.
So I guess you've seen a lot of changes since in those days. You're looking at 15 years, and in the technology industry, that's a lot of change.
A lot of change. We've seen a lot of water under the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously we're just coming. We're still in sadly the COVID pandemic. Although we're hoping very soon that things will be reopening, and but it's really hit the events industry very hard. And will do so for a number of months to come. So how have you adapted, and how's it affected your business?
Well, obviously, involved as we are with international events, providing the simultaneous interpretation to international meetings, and obviously it had an immediate and complete cessation of activities. Everything was cancelled across the board. We had nothing. So obviously there was a bit of a scramble, should I say, and we also threw ideas into the air, and we just had massive brainstorming sessions, and obviously we had to look at the business as a whole. Yep. From top to bottom, everything was reviewed. So unfortunately that has led to us reducing our headcount, but yeah, it's never a good thing to have to do, but
and you're working from home, obviously.
We're all working from home, and then what we did is individually we all started to rebuild our office, and what we had done just previously, in actual fact, which seems a little bit fortuitous, is in July last year is we actually opened up our first remote interpretation studio. Where we could supply interpretation to meetings and events, but remotely, so we could effectively support an event that was taking place anywhere in the world, or indeed support online events. And we knew, we'd seen this developing as part of the industry in the background, but what COVID has done has shortened the timeline on that becoming like a major part of the industry by about 3, 4, 5 years maybe. So we had a bit of a head start on that, and that's proved to be extremely fortuitous, because that is now where we are actually making some headway. I mean, we're nowhere near where we would normally be at this time of year, and we're still only operating around about 10% of where we would normally be. So we've had a massive drop, but at least there is some turnover.
So pre-COVID, what were you famous for as a business? What would your sort of flagship products and services be?
Well, three main areas where we excelled in our specialist provision. So one was the aforementioned simultaneous interpretation. The other was the provision of microphone discussion systems. So we provide push-to-talk microphone discussion systems to the likes of the Scottish Parliament and to councils and other corporate meetings. But we don't do it just purely to end client. We also provide that service as a big dry hire department. So we have literally hundreds of microphones in our dry hire, and they get shipped around all around the UK. And we've got systems at the moment in Ireland, helping the local councils, Sligo Council, to run socially distanced council meetings using the Shure MXCW wireless microphones that we have in stock. So yeah, there's another sort of pivot there of adapting what we already had to make it relevant to the needs of our clients today.
So do you work with AV companies or other companies directly, or are you sort of mainly working with the clients directly?
We're mainly actually working as a third-party supplier with other AV companies, although we do have some end client customers, but the majority of our work is through referrals and through other AV companies, production companies, interpretation agencies, just standard jobbing AV companies who have a requirement sometimes to provide this kind of equipment, but it's extremely expensive to buy, and they wouldn't have necessarily the number of events to make it worthwhile for them to buy. So they generally then dry hire from us or get us in to supplement their sort of standard AV provision as well.
Yeah, you've obviously got some interesting clients. You mentioned the Scottish Parliament there before.
Yes. Scottish Parliament, very good customer of ours. Very lucky to have them as our customer. But we have corporate customers, charitable organisations, NGOs. Anybody who needs this kind of equipment, is a potential customer.
Now, tell me, you've obviously got some new services and products. You mentioned the British Sign Language earlier on, which
yes, that's an interesting story. That one, how that came about. Basically, again, mentioning the Scottish Parliament, we supply them with their microphones, and they knew that we were opening up a remote interpretation studio. And we got the call when they actually had to go into lockdown and practice social distancing themselves to see whether or not their British Sign Language provision could be provided from our remote interpretation studio, because it is a form of interpretation after all. But of course, the difference being that it's a visual interpretation as opposed to a spoken language interpretation. So we had a 24-hour notice to pivot our remote interpretation studio into a visual BSL interpretation studio, which we managed to do, and everything went extremely smoothly. But what we've done is we've now sort of honed the product, and it was a bit rough and ready when we first started, but we've polished it all up, proved you can polish something, and we've now got it to a point where we can easily and gladly offer it to other customers as well. So if you have an event that's been streamed or a live event that needs a BSL interpretation for an AGM or anything else like that, then give us a bell.
Sounds good. It's certainly, I would say, a unique service. We don't speak to many people who sort of focus on that area. So, just from your own opinion, how do you see the events industry going forward? How do you think it's changing and going to change?
Well, I think the events industry as a whole is going to be severely changed. Well, almost unrecognizable as a result of COVID. I mean, the fact that everybody can work from home, the fact that travel and all these things that have been restricted, the genie's out of the bottle, as it were. Pandora's box has been opened, and it's going to be difficult to stuff everything back into that lid and shut it. Yeah. So I think going forward, we're going to see possibly slightly smaller events and that's just not purely down to social distancing or not getting so many people in a room. I just think basically people have probably realized that, hold on a moment, I don't need to travel 300-400 miles to attend an event. I can contribute and listen and understand and do what I need to do from my own home office and not be so environmentally damaging, for want of a better phrase as well. Because although COVID has been a catalyst, it these things needed to be done anyway, and they were beginning to happen. But as previously mentioned, it's reduced the timeline massively. So I think coming out of COVID, we're going to see smaller events, hybrid events. So we're providing, you'll be streaming a lot more, and it will have more languages involved, and your audiences would more likely actually become bigger as a result. So you'll have worldwide audiences tuning in, not just sort of like the 300 people in the room or the 200 people in the room, and it'll be more distributed.
Yeah.
So I think that's the way it's gonna unfold.
Yeah, I think the word hybrid is certainly going to be a key word going forward, and I personally believe there's definitely still a place for live events and interaction, but certainly as you said earlier, the online revolution has certainly accelerated very quickly. So, been great to talk to you. Very, very interesting. Just let us know very briefly how people can get hold of you, Mark.
Well, we're on the World Wide Web, obviously, at www.avdept.co.uk. So that's AVDEPT, shortened version. You can contact us on contact me on 07905 437 662, or you can call the office on 01383 825 709.
Wow, very well remembered.
There you go.
That's great. Well, it's been lovely speaking to you, and really appreciate your time today, and all the best.
Okay, Elliot. So thanks very much for having me on, and stay safe.
Thank you, and you. Cheers.
Okay, bye for now.